really what we're going to talk about today is how you can get more control over your audience data by getting them off of certain platforms and onto your email list, on SMS, and how to do that in an authentic way. But what I've realized is, especially with social media, with algorithms changing, and even like paid, which is traditionally the more like concrete way to reach your audience, if you don't have first party data for your audience, meaning email and phone number, you're in trouble because the stats escape me, the exact stats escape me, but I think conversion rates on Facebook have gone down by about 35% looking year over year, which is insane. And we're about to start losing more data from that platform as well as Google.
100%.
So if you're not getting people off of social media and onto a platform you can actually control, you're in trouble. Um,
Mhm.
so I'm gonna kick things off momentarily, but just so you all know, I'm feeling a little bit under the weather today. So if I sound weird, that's why. It's not that I'm uninterested; it's just that I'm a little a little out of it. So hopefully we can push through here because I know it's a really important topic. But Shandel, I'm gonna go ahead and ask you to introduce yourself, just for those people who don't know you, can get familiar.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate that, Terry. My name's Shandel Shands. I go by Inspired by Shandel on Instagram. From Toronto, as you all know now. I love to travel and work remotely, as to why I'm currently at a co-working space in Miami to take this interview. What I do professionally is I am the owner of a marketing agency. My marketing agency is called Marketing Creates. We are in our first year of our startup, so I have been a freelance marketer for 4 or 5+ years. And then, of course, gaining connections, building my network, finding people that I really align very well with and have great synergy. We decided to open up an agency, and we were going really strong within our first year, which is really exciting. We specialize in email marketing and text message marketing. But of course, everybody loves to be on social media. So we always give a hand to our social media content lovers as well. But we always love to encourage, like we're going to be talking about, that healthy romance between text message marketing, email marketing, as well as social media, because it's hard to even get anybody off of social media until they realize the value of, their email list and their text message list. Then they might want to stop, turning their wheels on social.
Awesome. So when people are in digital marketing, I'll use that
Hmm.
broad term. I always wonder how they got started. And for
Yeah.
me, it's because I worked at this appliance company in the Bronx. And
Okay.
this is like back in 2005. And the owner went to some like random workshop over the weekend. And he's like, hey, there's this new thing called SEO. And if we write really good stuff on our website, we can show up higher on Yahoo searches. And I'm
Yeah.
like, this sounds cool. So I started doing that and started dabbling. And then I left that company, went to another one. And my other manager's like, there's this thing called search engine marketing. And we
Hmm.
can actually pay money to make our ads show up when people search for it. And I
Hmm.
was doing digital marketing, trade show marketing, direct mail marketing.
Yeah.
And I thought with digital marketing, it's so much easier to measure the impact of what we're doing as
Yeah.
compared to all this other stuff. And I actually like it more. So that's how I fell into it. But how about yourself?
How I fell into it. Well, my first business was a cleaning company, and I did that quite successfully. I started when I was 24, and I'm about to turn 30. So I've been well versed in, two-time founder of businesses at this point. And how I got into marketing and digital marketing is I realized, beyond, just running a company, I loved the marketing aspect of running the cleaning company, and just anything else that I had a hand in. I loved the marketing side of things. And I love the internet. I'm a millennial. So I started picking up on different skills, whether that was copywriters or people that were really just pushing how to sell online, sell digital products online. I didn't go the SEO route like you. I actually kind of went around that to everything else but SEO, because we know so many different things of digital marketing, right? So I just decided to take on multiple different skills and found, the area that I got the best result in. And that's how I got into email marketing, more so niche down, because of just the simple result that I was getting for people. It was so undeniable. I love to write, so I love copyright and stuff like that. But I never became a copywriter. So it was interesting that the copy still goes in the email, but I don't put out like, hey, I'm a copywriter, right? I'm an email marketer, but I still get to take advantage of the skills that I learned doing copy and taking them into email marketing. But now that I'm in email marketing, There's a lot more data. There's a lot more, data driven decision making, analyzing what's going on and stuff like that. So I do like to nerd out on things like that too, to really understand what's happening in the back end of a business and how we're able to do some retail math that can really take us to the next level. So I just got really obsessed with seeing, you are responsible for 50% of somebody's 30-day revenue. That's so powerful, So instead of me just writing a headline, I like to see that 51%. I basically compete with my clients sometimes as well. So because I know they're pushing on social media more so, and I'm pushing on email and text more so. It's a very good, healthy relationship that way. And so when I see myself at 51% for revenue directly correlated to email marketing and text message marketing, I'm like, yes, I'm beating you. And I show my clients that as well, saying like, step your game up, just joking around all the time. So I just have a lot of fun in the space that I'm in. And I think it's because I'm so good at it that it allows me to do it with ease. And I have a really good relationship with the people that I work with and stuff. So it makes it really fun.
Yeah, I mean, a few things. One is I think business owners turn marketers understand what's on the line,
Yeah.
right? If it doesn't work, someone can go out of business, someone can't make their payroll, someone is in trouble. So it's like you get internally what's going on with your clients more. And and yeah, and I think that natural evolution just makes it more authentic in many ways. And
Yeah.
Matthew Bieber is chiming in here. So Matthew, thanks for showing up here. He's saying, hey, very similar story in my experience. We need a website. And oh, yeah, we hired a company for SEO and we have this urchin thing. This is back in 2003. So that ascension from like the early days to where he's at now, where he's actually teaching digital marketing, which
Mm.
is pretty cool. But you also said, it's easy for you. And I think sometimes when we're experts, we don't understand how challenging it can be for other people to even understand what
Yes.
we're doing and why it's important. So I just want to address this elephant that's often in the room, which is why do people obsess over social media followers, but they often neglect building their email list when, as we said earlier, it's much more challenging to reach people on social these days, but why do you still get that pushback?
Yeah, well, I think I get that pushback because of, if I'm being honest, like the whole vanity metrics thing, right? People want to be popular. I'm not too sure why, because half of those people don't care about you on the internet. Whether you get to 1 million followers or 1,000, like 900 of those 1,000 really don't care about you or what you have to offer. They just click the let follow button because they seen one thing that you posted, or who knows, maybe they seen you pop up on their search page. But that doesn't really get you to the end results of like, okay, this is really a person that wants what I have. So look at those numbers: 1,000 people following you, 100 of them maybe want what you have or be slightly interested. It's not a really good ratio. So for people to be wanting to achieve the 1 million followers and stuff like that, I think it's just based off of like a psychology thing. The world we live in right now, especially with like influencers and content creators, even business owners sometimes get stuck in that loop of like they need more followers, but I don't know what they're chasing after. I really don't know what the real answer is, but I think it's just the society we live in. Everybody wants to be somewhat Hollywood, even if they don't need to be. And the reality of that is if they took that energy and put it into, yes, their social, but also with their email and their SMS, then things will go a lot smoother for them, because that same 1,000 people on an email list, like a different 1,000 people, I should say, on the email list, that's 1,000 potential engaged subscribers versus 100 engaged followers. It's a completely different end result. Those people really want to hear from you on your email list. And I think the difference, as I'm talking, I'm just realizing the people on your email list want to hear from you. The people on social media, they just want to watch you. So I don't need people to just watch me. I need people that want to hear from me, on the regular, and then reach out to me and want to speak to me more and stuff like that, right? So yes, we have DMs on social, but the DMs isn't doing what it needs to do.
Yeah. It's funny. I years ago with Facebook, we used to be able to do what's called an audience overlap report, where you have one audience, which might be your social media followers, and overlap that with people who've been to your website in the last 6
Mm-hmm.
months.
Yeah.
And remember one time I showed this to one of my clients. I'm like, you have 300,000 followers on I think it was Instagram or Facebook,
Hmm.
but only 1% of them have been to your website in the last 6 months.
Yeah,
And they're like, yeah. I'm like, isn't that where you sell stuff? So this is not good, right? So having
I
that data was super
experience that often.
beneficial because it just showed like how I don't say useless, like because cosmetically I get it.
Yep.
Some even investors are still saying, how many followers do you have? Because they don't know, right? They don't have
Yeah.
someone telling them. Who cares?
Yeah.
So that's what I used to ask people. I'm like, why do you want followers? Because
Mm.
they're good. Why are they good? And if you can tell me, look, because actually I had this one client who told me, look, we know they're BS,
Yeah.
but our investors keep on asking about this. Our
Yep.
partners keep on asking about this. I'm like, as long as we align on the fact that it's stupid, cool. Like
Yeah.
I'll help you with
Yeah.
this, but otherwise, like this is not a good look.
We're very
Um,
aligned there. I hear that often, and I give quite a similar response as well. I'm like, all right, we can do it. I just want to let you know, like, the reality of the situation, but let's go for the followers and then we'll do everything else, But I agree with you 100%. I've experienced that as well.
yeah, and Ryan Quinn's chiming in here saying, I think companies need to worry less about followers and more about customers. Yeah, and especially even like after they become a customer. But I want to read this verbatim because your bio says you teach business owners about the healthy sales romance that's possible between social media, SMS, and email. So tell me about this healthy romance. What does that look like
Yes,
in
I love
action?
the healthy romance. It's because it makes it healthy because I find that just social is really unhealthy, just social. Instagram goes down, there goes our business, right? So I consider just one platform being like almost close to none, right? And so when you pair that with email and SMS, one thing, a word I like to use or a phrase I like to use is catching sales in limbo, catching customers in limbo, right? Nurturing them while they're in limbo. And so what that means is, while they're going along the customer journey, if it starts at social, we then want to get them to email. And then as we're emailing them, maybe we have their phone number as well. And we can send them a text once in a blue moon. Or maybe you have a strategy where you're sending more frequently via text message because you know that text message is getting a huge open rate right now, right? So finding a healthy balance because everybody thinks, okay, there's a million and one platforms that they have to be on LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, oh my gosh, Facebook, everything, right? So it's like crazy to add SMS and email. That's what most people would think. But we're all on these social media platforms spreading ourselves thin when we could really focus on one or two social media platforms or wherever our main content creation is happening and our engaged audience is happening, but then really focus on funneling them to that email, right? So that we're now contacting them directly and we have that customer data. Because as you said, with ads and with email, actually, they're being affected by privacy laws that have changed, right? And I never go into the technical side of things of the privacy laws that have changed because it's just going to confuse everybody. But quite simply, how big companies were able to collect data in the past off of ads and emails, no longer we're not going to be able to do that, like as you were saying. And it's only going to get tighter and tighter in terms of, us being prevented from collecting this information from the more traditional way of doing it that's been happening for the last, I don't know, 10 years plus, that we've been agreeing on our phones to the terms, and we haven't read any of the terms on any of the apps, right, that we use. We just say, yeah, we want Instagram, yeah, we want TikTok, and they've been using our data for so long, really to our detriment. And so now what I love about this shift that's happening, a lot of people don't like it, but I love it because now we have to collect customer first data. Now we have to put our customers first, whether we're using social, email, or text. I think customers should always be first. And so the healthy romance isn't to spread everybody thin, but it's to really allow people to focus on what will actually get them results, which I truly believe from my experience after several years is with email marketing, which is text message marketing right now. Text message marketing has the highest open rates right now. And then, of course, we can't pull people off of social until they're ready to be pulled off of social. So I always try and navigate how much energy should you be putting into social, right? And just allowing it to all flow. So it's really about figuring out that healthy romance for that specific person, because I mean, I'm sure you can relate. We're not the type of people that will give people a one size fits all type solution. And so that healthy romance, it really has to be specific to a person of how much energy and time and money and effort content they put on each platform just based off what they're doing. So yeah, really, let's put it as a customized healthy relationship with social, email, and SMS. But I really do see that as what drives results.
All right. So with SMS, like I get the open rates are higher, but how do you do it without being annoying? Because there's a
Yeah.
lot of brands that I like and I buy from, but if they text me like, "Hey Terry, buy something," I would say buzz off. So it's like,
Yeah.
how does this work? I mean, what are you messaging? Are you saying buy this, or is it informational? Like, what are you doing through SMS that makes people not get annoyed and just say stop sending me stuff?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I love to teach people the element of like a series. And what I mean by that is I've learned it from somebody else. So that is not my own personal strategy, but it's something that I find works really well. So I implement it. And by series, I mean something very specific. So even, for example, to use you as an example, if I was going to sign up for really exclusive entrepreneur type information, right? I would want that. So if you launched a series of like entrepreneur specific tips, right? Leveraging skills you already have. I read one of your headlines the other day. So leveraging skills you already have. If you did a series on that and I wanted to leverage the skills that I already have, no matter how many text messages you send me, I gave you an easy yes to opt into that. So I call it an easy yes. So as long as you're really offering something that's going to give somebody an easy yes, and then the type of content you're delivering is as promised and what you had told them to expect, and then maybe you ask permission to sell, right? So maybe before you sell, you're sending, motivation, your tips, your this, your that, all of the leveraging your skills. And then maybe the next message you send is, hey, I'm going to start promoting one of my classes soon. If you don't want any promotional texts, opt out, or actually just don't send me sales text. Like there's a lot of keywords you can use with text message. So you can get a little strategic with what keywords people send you back. And maybe now you're segmenting. So segmenting being audiences into specific lists. So instead of all subscribers, you're going to have all subscribers, and then you're going to have subscribers that don't want promo text. You're going to have the subscribers that signed up to that series and they want that series. And then you're going to have the people that said, yeah, they want the sale. They didn't opt out. They want the promotion, right? So you've really nurtured them and prepared them and given them a chance to say yes or no to you without you even selling out the gate. And then, of course, getting those people not opt out is great because you've given them the option. People might feel really good about that you put them in the driver's seat, right? And so it might convert. Well, I don't want to say it might convert. I know it will convert a lot higher, giving the consumer that type of decision-making power.
Awesome. So I have a question, but I want to ask the audience a question first too. Have you opted into a brand's SMS sequence before, and what made you want to do it? Just out of curiosity. So from what you're hearing, like I've found this way to make it not annoying now because I remember a couple of years ago I had this like free online course. It was like how to like come up with your business idea in 7 days. Let's pretend that's what it is.
Yeah.
And I did it through a platform where you would get one email per day with a lesson. But
Yeah.
what I realized is the open rate on day one was like 80%. Then it stayed around 60% for the rest of the week. And I was like, well, shoot, nearly half these people aren't making it to the end of the week. But if I had done that through SMS, it would have worked, right? So I think that's
Mhm.
one good way we can do it. Like, whatever you do, whatever your zone of
Yeah.
genius is, here's 5 ways to do this. Over the
Yeah.
next week, here's this challenge, XYZ,
Yeah.
and then tease it
Specific.
out. And on the back end, it's like, hey, if you want to do this going forward, click here, pay me, right? So, what is a tool that someone can use for this? Because obviously you're not doing it manually. What are
Yeah.
some tools that you suggest someone would use to do this?
Yes, do not do it manually. That is a lot of labor. So I'll give a couple of options. I do have my favorites. So when it comes to just text message marketing, something that I would recommend would be community.com. That's www.community.com. I'm not affiliated, so this is not a plug, but it is something that as soon as I seen SMS marketing, which I actually discovered it from Gary Vee. Gary Vee was one of the first people that really hopped on SMS marketing. He was sending all of the motivational messages. I think now he's moved into the world of like NFTs and that whole Web3 space. So I think he's promoting that now through text message marketing. But at first, it was simply, if you like my content on social media, you should probably sign up to my text list, because I just got this text list and you're going to be the first one on it. And people like to be the first ones on things. So I signed up to his text list just to see what it was. I hadn't been on anybody else's text list before. And I think this was probably 4 years ago, maybe 3-4 years ago, he had launched it. Whenever Community launched, because at the time, Community actually was private. You weren't even able to just sign up like a regular software. You actually had to wait. I waited probably about 6-7 months for them to give me an account. I'm sure Gary Vee got it faster than me. Probably wasn't on the wait list, but I had to wait on the wait list, and I waited. And it was really good for me. I loved the platform. I actually didn't use it for myself. I used it for clients. And it worked great for them. And then I eventually used it for myself because it was so easy to function. You know, when people say they're not good at tech, SMS, something like community messaging, easy for you to use. It's no brainer. Anybody could use it. And then on top of it, I like Klaviyo, klaviyo.com. I am a partner with Klaviyo. Do not get paid for this plug, but I recommend Klaviyo as the #1 software if you're looking to use text message marketing as well as email marketing. I like their dashboard, their overall view of everything that's happening. You can see where each cent is coming in from. And, you know, if you're anything like me that like to, you know, count the coins, then you'll love Klaviyo because you can see where all the money is funneling in from. So you know where to put your energy, right? What's working and what's not, makes it very clear. Klaviyo is more dominant to e-commerce brands. However, you can very much so use it for a service provider, especially if you're really looking for that data-driven information. Of course, a service provider, their emails are just going to look a little bit different than like Fashion Nova's, you know?
Yeah. Have you ever thought of making like a 7-day course on how to use SMS to like make money or whatever, but deliver the course through SMS, so you're like showing examples like while you're using the actual medium?
Terry, I've thought of a lot of ideas. We just need more time in the world. Or what are we supposed to say instead of we need more time in the world? We got to make time for the things that we love and want to do. But definitely, I've thought about, definitely text message marketing. If I were to do something where I was launching something right now, it would be through text message marketing. And I actually, one strategy that I thought of is, and I'd seen somebody use it before and it kind of changed it around a little bit to kind of suit my needs a little bit better. But they had done a masterclass and they promoted it on social. And when you attended that masterclass, during that masterclass, they had said, to qualify for my next masterclass, you have to text this number and fill out the application. So while we were live, Terry, you're like, okay, text this number to see if you qualify for tomorrow's free class. It's going to be a upgraded class, more specific information, but it's only for people who really qualify. Because if you're not at that stage of business, it might not be good for you, right? And the person was like, well, I'll tell you why you don't qualify if you text the number. So no matter who texted the number, whether you got it or you didn't, she got the numbers from all of us. And turn some of us away, let some of us go into the program the next day. And so on that very first class, they didn't sell, they only taught. And it was one of the most valuable workshops that I had ever attended. And so after that workshop, when they said text the number and everybody texted, you got into the next class. The next day we went into the next class all together again. And that's where, the pitch kind of came in. And expectingly so, they had said that they are going to pitch at the end. So I'm a fan of people that always prepare for that pitch. I think it's sketchy when they don't share that they're going to be pitching by the end of it. But I really liked how they were able to do that. And I think it's important to mention that they, at the time, had a following on social media, on Instagram, of 500 people. 500 people on social media. I'm a person that has 5,000. Numbers, are just vanity metrics, like we're saying. But if we're talking followings here, somebody with 5,000, shouldn't be buying from somebody with 500, or whatever way people look at it. You shouldn't be learning from somebody with 500. That's how sometimes people look at it. But for me, I loved the information. Most valuable masterclass I had ever been in, because we all know we've probably signed up for 1 million masterclasses online. So it was so valuable. It was $49. So very easy yes to opt in. She got my email from signing up. She got my text, my phone number, right, from signing up. I attended her master class from that. I did consider going into her program. And the program was not low ticket. With that 500 following, she's very bold, because I think sometimes a lot of people think, oh, well, I don't have 5,000 followers. I can't charge $10,000. People aren't going to take me seriously. And unfortunately, that's just some people's mindset. But yeah, they had a $10,000 offer at the end of all of that. And I think it was rightfully so. I was very close to opting into that. But I think, my everything just aligned differently for me at the time. I was just going in a different direction. But very good information. I would highly recommend implementing something like that, where you can go through the customer journey and collect all that information. And whether they opt into the final conversion or not, right? I'm still following them. They might get me a second time or third time over.
Yeah, I forgot this guy that I know, Mike Koenigs. He has this book called Money Phone, where he teaches you how to form sequences. So, like, while you're on stage, you might say, "Hey, scan." Like right now, if you look at the lower left-hand corner, is a QR code
Yep.
for my services. He would have a sequence like push one if you care about this, two if you care about that, and it would guide
Yep.
them towards an offer. So, yeah, I mean, building these things out in advance obviously is necessary, but it makes sense. And one thing you kept on saying earlier was customer first, customer first. And I'm just curious, can you give us your operational definition of what customer first means? Because if we have all this first party information and we can text them whenever we want, we can email them whenever we want. Like I said, how do we not be annoying? And I guess customer service first is the response to that. But what does it actually mean to you, and how can we do that ourselves?
Yeah, great question. I mean, in the simplest way, it's all about knowing your customer, not thinking we know our customer, but knowing our customer. So it's being able to ask our customer certain questions and allow them to actually give us that answer, versus us just creating an avatar of what we think they want, or what we, where we think they hang out at, and all of those different things, right? So it's as simple as asking people, where do you spend your Friday nights, if that's relevant to your brands, right? Is it do you have customers that are at home watching Netflix on a Friday, or do you have customers that are partying hard? They're not going to be at their computers or their phones all night on a Friday. They're out at a club, right? So, there's a million and one examples that I could give, but it's all about understanding right from, the horse's mouth or whatever, what they love, where they click on your website, how long they spend on your website. Some of this information we don't even need to ask. Some of it we could check from the back end of our softwares, whatever, CRM or whatever website you're using and things like that. You can see certain information, how long does it take your customer to buy from when they first find you and stuff like that. So it's all about putting the customer first by really understanding their behavior, their desires, like what they do in their day, but not guessing. No guessing. It's asking them, because they will probably gladly tell you, so you actually don't annoy them. And it's such a better relationship that way, right? So yeah, putting customer first is simply finding out as much information as possible, whether it's by asking or whether it's by really analyzing what's happened, for so long on your back end of your website or your CRM and things like that. But really gathering that data so that you can put them at the forefront of all of your decisions.
Yeah, and one of the easiest ways to do that is through social listening. I was in Seattle a couple weeks ago at Amazon talking to all these founders about how
Yeah.
they could use social listening to learn more about their audience. And one of them had an app that helped people more or less generate more revenue for their barber shop. So he
Hmm.
went on a Reddit and then went to the subreddit for barber shop. And there are people saying like, look, I love my barber, but it takes forever to get a cut. I've even gone to a different barber I didn't like as much because they weren't good, but the line was shorter. So like we
Mm-hmm.
use as an example saying like, look, here's the money you're losing by not having a way for them to make appointments, and like right
Yeah.
out of their mouth is exactly what they're saying. So yeah, for
100%.
anyone who hasn't done like any kind of surveying or research, one of the easiest ways to do so is through social listening because it's free and it's accessible and you can learn
Mm-hmm.
a lot from it. But
Yeah.
one thing I do want to ask though is like, okay, we're saying, look, social media is not the move anymore. But what are some of the best ways to get people off of social media and then onto your email list or your SMS? Like, what are some tactics that have worked for you?
Yeah, from a service provider standpoint, I definitely recommend the series idea that I was talking about. I find that it's working a lot better than, the average newsletter. But depending on your audience, I mean, a lot of agencies send out a newsletter. And for example, like Marketing Brew, I sign up for that email newsletter, and it's very old school newsletter style. But the information's great. So I love to open it. I love to receive it. I think they send me an email once a day, right? So I think 5 emails a week, and I still haven't unsubscribed for years. But when it comes to service providers, I would recommend the series. So something very specific that's going to give people an easy yes to want to give you their information. So I always tell all of my clients or anybody that I speak to or mentor is to really think about what that easy yes is. And if you can't figure it out, you need to ask a couple of your potential ideal clients so that they could tell you exactly what that easy yes would be. I take all the guesswork out. Market research is definitely my best friend here. And then when it comes to e-commerce brands, there's the simple 10% off pop-up discounts. There's the refer a friend. I love the refer a friend idea, even from a service-based standpoint, because it's like, hey, if you sign up for my email list today, I'm going to give you $500 off of my retreat or my summit or something. And what you can do is if you refer the friend, they could get $500 off as well. So if that's two friends saving $1,000, you now have two customers coming to your event, and both of them are saving $500. That's an easy yes if they want to come to your event. So not to super discount things, but there's all sorts of different ways that you can leverage these easy yes ideas, whether you're a service provider or e-commerce founder, but really focus on what that easy yes would be to get them onto your email list. And if you can't think of it, don't guess. Just ask a couple people that are potentially your ideal clients. Maybe you could give them something as a bonus for helping you out, figure out what that should be. And then ultimately test everything. I wouldn't be a marketer if I didn't include that at the end. So everything that I'm saying is, subject to testing, right? I don't know everybody's business that's watching this. So they definitely want to test a couple of the strategies out. So maybe two easy yeses would be better to start out with, and test both options. And don't test them at the same time. Test one in September, test one in October, so that you could actually see what the results from each of them were. Or if you do have some kind of software or something that can separate those type of results, then by all means do them at the same time. But I always recommend making sure that you're testing things separate from one another so you could really see what differences those things made.
Yeah, you make a good point in regards to like looking at your actual data, if you have any. And I remember this one time, one of my clients was thinking about doing some stuff with mobile. And then we looked at their website and we saw like 17% of their traffic was mobile. I'm like, it seems like you're not a mobile audience right now. So we can try SMS. And I think they want to do messaging, like Facebook Messenger ads. I'm
Facebook.
like, we can try that, but it doesn't really look like your audience is using mobile to go to your website. And there's a very small percent of traffic coming to your website from mobile. Seems like your audience is not on mobile, right? So it's
Yeah.
like you can kind of pre-qualify whether it's
Yeah.
a good idea or not, and still test. I mean, that's how you learn. But
100.
but I know you've done a lot of tests, and I'm wondering if you can share like just like almost like a mini case study. You don't have to say like the names of companies, but one of your clients that's used SMS to their advantage and gotten some good results from it. And I know you like competing with your clients, so I'd love to hear how maybe that did versus some of the things we are doing before,
Yeah.
just so we can kind of wrap our heads around the opportunity here.
Yeah. So I always like to look at SMS because I'm very dominant with email. So I will make the most money from email, no matter what I do. I think it's just how much words I can put into an email, how many visuals I can put into an email. So I could really portray like a whole vision and really bring people in to want to buy whatever it is that I'm selling. With a text message, it's a little bit shorter. So there's like, I don't know, 30 words that you get to use. So it will convert. However, I find that a lot of the money really comes from the emails still, but the nurturing and some money, the sales in limbo come from text messages. So that's why I said it has to be a healthy relationship, because I don't want to steer people down the wrong path and then they think SMS is going to be the end all be all, and email maybe wasn't going to work out so much for them. So I recommend pairing the two. I do want to say though, SMS is the best for when people don't open your email. You can trigger a text message to go half an hour later, and now I might not have opened your email, but I will now open your text. And so that's where that text will probably get that conversion now, and that money gets there. But not everybody gets to that text, right? Some people convert at the email. So that's why I might not see it reflect in the text messages, because I've already done my job further in the up higher in the funnel. So that's why it's a healthy relationship, because no matter where people are coming from, before they just kind of fall flat and ghost us, we're catching them as much as we can until they do ghost us for the time being. But one of the best things that I've done, results that I've seen for text message marketing, would be new releases. I'm a really big fan of, launching things, whether it's a service, event, or a product. I do love e-commerce, so I love to launch products specifically. And I find that the more you're able to give that build up to let people know something's coming, to really engage the community with, the social media stickers and stuff like that, just build a lot of hype. In short, I find that building that hype and then launching that through email and launching that through text message, those results, if you've done your job over the course of like anywhere between 2 and 6 weeks of nurturing and teasing and getting people to really wonder, like, what is coming, it's like kind of like when Beyonce wants to make new music or something, or anybody that doesn't make new music, everybody's waiting on Rihanna's new music, so we've been nurtured and waiting for so long, so that when she does drop that, we're ready for it, so I find that period of waiting and that period of nurturing and teasing and us just wanting it, by the time we get it, we just want it. So in those moments, I can see numbers go through the roof, and those are the most impressive numbers. I find people try and launch things to willy-nilly and stuff like that. If they just really prepared and focused on, okay, how can I get the best result possible by taking this like slow, easy way, really strategically. Okay, I'm going to pair my social with my email, with my SMS. So when people are following through that journey, we can catch them and we can convert them. So you're going to have the most amount of revenue possible, because we're hitting them on all different angles. And they've already said that they wanted it. They've been engaging with us for so long. If we say, oh, we're releasing a new shirt, and we're saying, what colors is it? What colors do you want? They're like, oh, it's purple. Is it going to be red? Is it going to be blue? And it seems silly, but they love to reply, blue, blue, blue. I want blue. Like they want to let us know what they want. And even if we don't release blue and we release purple and white, like they still love the fact that there's something new released, and they're going to buy it anyways.
Yeah. You make a good point in regards to maybe text is not getting the conversion, but it's nurturing. So if you're using Klaviyo for both email and text, you can see that more or less the attribution, right, between if you didn't do text versus if you did, and get a clear understanding. So I love that. Let's grab this question though
could get a higher conversion off of SMS though, just straight SMS. I think wherever you put your energy towards, potentially it's going to be successful, right? So I would like to correct myself and say though, if somebody is putting all their eggs in one basket of SMS and it's been really working well for them, that's definitely the route that they have to take, is how can they elevate that text message marketing strategy and really focus on that, right?
Yeah, no, I dig it. I mean, I think, yeah, if it's working, right? So that's the benefit of data. But yeah, we great question here from Mayana, and she's saying, do you have any experience where the email and SMS together concept works well for nonprofits?
Yeah, actually, the last time I was in Florida, actually, I was with a nonprofit. They were doing a summit, and at the time, they did not sell tickets through email or text message marketing, but this time around, they're using email and text message marketing to sell out the event. So, it's kind of like when you know better, you do better. So now that they know, oh wow, we have access to Shandel that knows text message, that knows email, they're non for profit. Now they're leaning into that to sell retreat tickets. It's an event, a summit, a retreat. I don't know. They're all kind of the same thing, but
So moral of the story is it works. So thank you for asking that, Ayan, and I'm glad that that works and you can try it out too. So if you have any other questions, please do bring them up. We're going to wrap things up shortly, but I do want to ask you one more question before getting a better understanding how folks can get ahead of you, or sorry, a hold of you. So
mhm.
you use the term healthy romance between sales, media, SMS, between social media, SMS, and email. Why don't you use the term integration? Because we hear integrated marketing all the time. You say romance as opposed to integration. Is there a reason for that?
I love that you asked me that. So because I love copy, I love to write. I consider myself a wordsmith. So I just find it to be way catchier than, saying integrating and all that stuff. It's just my way of putting a spin on it, pretty much. But in all honesty, the romance part is because I get to see the numbers on the back end all every single day, every single week. Sometimes I can send emails and text messages. They're automated, so I'll set them for like a Friday and a Sunday, and then I won't check it till Monday or Tuesday. And once I look, I'm like, my hard eyes are going. I'm like, this is beautiful. This is amazing. And even though it's not my revenue, it's my client's revenue, I'm still very, very pleased. It's like the healthiest, most romantic situation ever once you see the end result in front of you. And when you have really happy clients, they're doing hard eyes as well. They're in the same romance. It's a great relationship.
I dig that. Yeah, no, that's a cool way to think about it. All right, so where can folks learn more about you? First of all, like
Yeah.
what services do you offer? How can you help them? It'd be great to
Yeah,
get
of
some
course.
understanding of that.
So for the fourth quarter, I do have something coming called Position Your Product. So if you are e-commerce based brands, I am specializing in e-commerce for the fourth quarter more dominantly. So if you are a service provider, I'm sorry, there might be some things on my page soon. You could always book a consultation with me, of course. But when it comes to my programs in the fourth quarter, I'm focusing on e-commerce to really make sure that the holiday marketing goes really well. So things like Cyber Month. So if anybody here has been worried about what are they going to do for their Cyber Month sales, if they have an e-commerce brand, then I'm really looking to put those people in a position to win because there's so much money left on the table for holiday marketing, especially with people with products, because everybody loves to fill under the tree and gift and stuff like that and get those discounts for Cyber Month. And not necessarily discounts, but we could also offer bonuses. So there's a lot of ways to leverage your e-commerce brands through the holiday marketing months. And that's something that I love to do. So I'll be putting everybody in a position to win for that. You can always book a consultation with me. Like I said, my website is www.marketingcreates.com. And I'm also very easygoing. So I don't mind if anybody slides in my DM. I do full permission to have a quick chat with me in my DM.
Awesome. Cyber Month. When I was a kid, it was Cyber Monday, or and then it's like Cyber Week,
I'm
and now it's
glad
Cyber
you
Month.
I'm
All
glad you
right.
caught that. I'm glad
Yeah,
you
yeah.
caught that because
Keeps
my
on getting
goal,
longer and longer.
profit before, during, and after Cyber Monday, Cyber Friday.
I
That's my
dig it.
goal. So we're gonna do the whole thing. We're not just doing a Monday and a Friday. We
Awesome,
want to make
awesome.
money all month
Well,
and the months
that's
before and after.
yeah. You know what's funny? Like, 'cause now we're talking about it. I saw some stat that said like maybe like 12% of holiday spend actually happened after the holidays. So it's like get that money, right? So
Yep.
hook up with Shandel and she'll teach you how to do so. But this has been great. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank
Everyone, thanks
you.
for attending. Please do follow her. If you have any questions, go ahead and keep on them going here in this thread. We'll come back and look at it
For
throughout the
sure.
week. But again, thanks for this, and I'll see you
Thank
next time.
you. It's been great. Thanks so much for having me.